In the shadowy streets of Japan, the legend of Kuchisake Onna, the slit-mouthed woman, strikes fear. Said to be a vengeful spirit, she appears at night, her mouth grotesquely slit from ear to ear, hidden by a surgical mask. She asks, "Am I beautiful?" A wrong answer leads to a violent end. Originating in the Edo period, some say she was a woman mutilated by her jealous husband. During the late 1970s, reports of encounters caused panic among schoolchildren. Variations claim she can be distracted with candy or the word pomade, letting you escape her deadly question. From the wind-swept Orkney Islands of Scotland comes the legend of the Nukkalavi, a skinless seahorse demon feared for centuries. This grotesque creature is said to have the body of a horse fused with a rider, both stripped of skin, exposing pulsating muscles and black blood. The Nukkalavi rises from the sea, bringing plague, drought, and death wherever it roams. Locals believed it could wilt crops and sicken livestock with its foul breath. Some say the legend arose from real outbreaks of disease, given a monstrous face to explain the unexplainable. They say some legends shouldn't be heard. Can you survive this one? On moonlit nights along Mexico's lonely roads and riverbanks, locals whisper of La Llorona, the woman in white. They say she was once Maria, a woman of stunning beauty, whose love turned to rage when betrayal struck. In a moment of despair, she drowned her children in the river, and soon after, took her own life. Now, her restless spirit wanders, draped in a flowing white gown, searching endlessly for the children she lost. Her mournful cries, "Ay, mis hijos," echo through villages, riversides, and empty streets, chilling the hearts of anyone who hears them. Some claim seeing her is an omen of death, while others insist her wails can follow you home, or even into your dreams. Centuries of folklore, inspired by real tragedies and ancient myths, have kept her legend alive. Parents warn their children to stay away from rivers after dark, lest La Llorona comes for them. Are you brave enough to hear her cries? Have you ever heard a whistle echo where there should be silence? Midnight, a rain-soaked alley, shadows stretch, neon flickers. Locals say if you hear a single haunting whistle, don't look back. One night a man vanishes, last seen turning as that eerie melody trailed him. Witnesses claimed the air grew colder, footsteps faded, and only the whistle remained, circling the bricks. They say the whistling man never shows his face. He only lures you with song. Next time you hear a whistle in the dark, will you follow or run? Listen, he's closer than you think.
They say this is real. Deep within a forgotten city block stands an abandoned antique shop, swallowed by mist and silence. Inside, beneath layers of dust and flickering, failing lights, rests that whispering mirror. Locals whisper that after midnight, if you dare stare into its tarnished glass, you won't see your own reflection, but a twisted version of yourself, grinning too wide, eyes unnervingly large, shadows crawling beneath the surface. Tonight, a girl steps inside. Her footsteps echo on creaking floorboards, each step swallowed by the thick, cold air. A low, unnatural drone hums through the room. She approaches the mirror. Her reflection shimmers, shadows twisting and writhing around her. Suddenly, the temperature plummets. The glass ripples like water. Her reflection's lips part, mouthing her name from the darkness beyond. She stumbles back, heart pounding, but the reflection remains, grinning wider, fingers stretching out as if to cross the glass. The lights sputter violently. Silence crashes down, heavy and suffocating. She spins to flee, But the mirror's surface pulses, and her own voice whispers from inside, desperate, begging for escape. The last thing seen, her reflection, now alone, smiling with a chilling hunger. She heard her name from the dark. It smiled back in the mirror. Would you survive this? They say this is real. Beneath the city, in the forgotten veins of the abandoned subway, a cold mist slithers along cracked tiles and rusted rails. The lantern keeper waits in the shadows. A single, ancient lantern glows faintly at the far end of the platform, its light impossibly steady in the choking fog. Locals whisper that if you follow the glow, you'll hear faint footsteps echoing, the scraping of metal on metal, and the low, haunting drone of a distant train that never arrives. As you move closer, the air thickens, your breath visible in the cold, and your flashlight sputters with every hesitant step. Suddenly, silence falls. Only the creak of rusty tracks and the pounding pulse of your heart remain. Then, in a broken window's cracked reflection, you see him. A gaunt figure, eyes hollow and empty, his lantern swinging slowly. You try to turn away, but your name is whispered from the dark, soft and chilling. The light flares, blinding, and when you blink, he stands inches away, grinning wide, the lantern's flame burning an unnatural blue. She heard her name from the dark.
They say this is real. Room 404, tucked at the end of a forgotten hallway, its door warped and groaning with age. The air inside is thick with cold mist. The electric lights flicker overhead, casting trembling shadows across peeling, stained wallpaper. But it's the mirror that draws you in. Ancient, rimmed with tarnished silver, it stands taller than any person, its surface always cold, always fogged as if breathing. Locals whisper, if you gaze long enough, the mirror in room 404 doesn't just show your reflection, it reveals something else, something waiting just beyond the glass. They say a girl once entered, dared by friends. Her footsteps echoed hollowly, the silence broken only by the distant creak of rusted pipes. She stared into the glass. At first, only her pale, frightened face. Then, behind her, a shadow moved, slow, deliberate, impossible to ignore. She tried to run, but her feet were rooted to the floor. The shadow smiled back in the mirror, lips curling where hers should have been. Her scream was swallowed by the thick fog, never heard again. Now, when the hallway is quiet, some swear they hear a faint whisper, her name repeating softly from the dark. She heard her name from the dark. It smiled back in the mirror. They say this is real. In the heart of the abandoned hospital, a corridor glows with flickering candlelight. Each flame casts a long shadow on the peeling walls. But sometimes the shadows move, without anyone there to make them. Footsteps echo, low drones hum, and the air grows colder with every step. A girl once dared to walk through, her breath visible in the mist. She glanced at a cracked mirror. Her reflection smiled back, but she hadn't moved. The candles guttered. Silence. A shadow stretched toward her, whispering her name. They say this is real. On foggy nights, the old statue in Blackwood Park weeps blood. Locals whisper that if you see her cry, you must never look away, or she'll follow you home. Shadows crawl as the mist thickens, old lamplight flickers, and a low drone fills the air. Step closer and you'll hear faint sobs, echoing between abandoned benches and twisted trees. They say one girl heard her own name whispered from the darkness, and when she looked, the statue smiled back in the mirror. Have you ever noticed a bus stop that wasn't there the day before? On the outskirts of a small town, there's a bus stop that appears only after midnight, old, rusted, with a flickering lamp and a faded sign barely legible in the darkness. Locals whisper that if you wait there after 12:01 a.m., you'll hear the distant rumble of a bus engine, even though the route was shut down decades ago. One cold autumn night, a college student named Mia missed her last ride home. Desperate and alone, she wandered into the thick fog when suddenly she spotted the mysterious stop glowing faintly at the edge of a field. She sat down on the cracked bench, shivering as the cold bit through her jacket. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. The night was eerily silent, broken only by the occasional snap of a twig nearby. Then headlights pierced the mist. An old bus, painted a sickly green and covered in grime, rolled up slowly, empty except for the driver, a pale man in a dark suit with hollow, sunken eyes. He stared at Mia, his voice raspy and low. "You waiting for a ride?" Mia hesitated, a chill crawling up her spine. Something about the bus felt deeply wrong. The door creaked open, inviting her in. Mia's phone buzzed suddenly, no signal. She stepped back, heart pounding, unsure if she should run or stay. In the heart of Pine Hollow, an unmarked path known as the Vanishing Trail has haunted locals for decades. The legend began in the late 1960s, when a hiker named Ben Foster disappeared without a trace while searching for wildflowers. His last radioed words were, "The fog's rolling in, but I can see the lights ahead." Search parties scoured the area, finding only his footprints, clear and deep, ending abruptly in the mud as if he simply vanished. Since then, whispers tell of soft footsteps echoing just behind hikers, or faint, distant laughter carried on the wind. Some claim to glimpse flickering lanterns bobbing between the trees, always just out of reach, drawing the curious deeper. Those who follow report a creeping disorientation. Time seems to stretch, shadows lengthen unnaturally, and the woods fall into an eerie silence. Occasionally, a lone shoe or backpack appears at the trail's end, damp and coated in pine needles, but its owner is never found. Locals say the trail itself shifts at dusk, leading the unwary somewhere beyond any map or compass. No one truly knows where it ends, or if it ever does. To this day, parents warn their children, never follow the lights in Pine Hollow, or you might not come back at all. In the heart of Graymoor, locals warn never to enter the woods after midnight. The legend of the Lantern Man began decades ago when a search party vanished while looking for a missing child. Only a single lantern, its glass fogged with breath, was found swaying from a branch, casting eerie shadows. Since then, people whisper about a tall, gaunt figure drifting silently through the trees, his face hidden by deep shadows, a flickering lantern in hand. If you spot his pale glow weaving between the trunks, you must turn away. Those who follow are never seen again. Eyewitnesses report the air turning icy cold, the silence pressing like a heavy weight, and the faint, haunting sound of a child crying just beyond sight. Some say the Lantern Man is searching endlessly for the lost, tempting wanderers deeper into the woods until they vanish without a trace. The disappearances continued over the years, each time a lantern left behind as a grim marker. Despite numerous police searches, no bodies or clues have ever been found. The townsfolk believe the Lantern Man is still out there, waiting patiently for anyone foolish enough to answer the call of his distant, wavering light and disappear forever into the darkness. In the heart of Pine Hollow sits Blackvine Cemetery, where a legend has haunted the town for decades. Locals whisper about the hollow eyes, shadowy figures with empty, gleaming sockets that appear between the crumbling headstones after midnight. The story began in 1976, when 3 teenagers vanished after daring each other to spend the night there. Their bikes were found tangled in the cemetery fence, but no trace of the boys ever surfaced. Since then, people report a suffocating cold and the unnerving sensation of being watched if they linger too long. Some claim to see figures standing by the oldest grave, eyes hollow, faces twisted in silent screams frozen in time. The legend says these apparitions are lost souls lured by something ancient buried beneath the soil, cursed to wander until someone takes their place. A chilling twist: every October another person disappears, and each time, a new pair of hollow eyes is seen among the shadows. No one knows how to break the cycle, and so the town keeps its gates locked tight at night, hoping the hollow eyes of Blackvine Cemetery never come looking for them. In the misty town of Willow's End, parents warn children never to stray after dark. The legend began in 1963 when 7-year-old Clara Bell vanished walking home from school. At dawn, searchers found a porcelain doll propped against a fence post, its dress matching Clara's, its glassy eyes eerily lifelike. Since then, whenever a child disappears, a doll appears nearby, clothed in scraps of the missing's attire. Locals call it the dollmaker's curse. They say if you stare into the doll's eyes, they shift, slowly, deliberately, tracking you. Some claim to hear faint whispers, a distant child's laughter, or see tears glistening on porcelain cheeks. The dolls are always cold, heavy, and impossible to destroy. Over decades, families have tried burning or burying them, but within days, the dolls reappear on their doorsteps, pristine. No one has ever caught the dollmaker, and the children are never found. It's said the only way to break the curse is to return the dolls to the dollmaker's workshop, but no one knows where it is, or if it even exists. Some say the dolls are still watching, waiting for the next child to vanish. They say no one comes back from this place unchanged. Welcome to Poveglia Island, a tiny, forbidden patch of land floating in the Venetian lagoon. Once a quarantine zone for plague victims, later an asylum for the insane, Poveglia's soil is thick with ash and bones. Over 160,000 souls are said to be buried beneath its cracked surface. Locals whisper about the island's blackened past, how a demonic presence traps the souls of those who died in agony, refusing them peace. At night, fishermen anchored nearby hear tortured screams drifting over the water and see flickers of shadowy figures pacing the crumbling asylum's halls. The bell tower, long silent, sometimes tolls at midnight, though there's no one left to ring it. Some say the doctor who performed cruel experiments on patients was thrown from the tower by invisible hands, and his restless spirit now stalks the thick fog that swallows the island. Even the bravest dare not set foot here after dark. Visitors report voices hissing in their ears, icy hands grabbing at ankles, and the suffocating sense that something ancient and hungry is watching from the shadows. Would you spend a night on Poveglia? They say no one comes back from this place unchanged. Deep in the shadows near Niagara Falls, the screaming tunnel waits, cold, damp, and as ancient as the legends that cling to its limestone walls. Locals whisper that if you strike a match at midnight within the tunnel, a girl's scream will shatter the silence, echoing off the stone with chilling clarity. The legend tells of a young girl, her dress ablaze, fleeing through the darkness, her screams forever trapped in the tunnel's heart. Some claim to see her, a flickering silhouette in the gloom, while others swear the air turns icy cold and invisible hands brush their skin. The tunnel's arched mouth yawns open, swallowing light and sound, while the wind moans like distant wailing. Footsteps echo where no living soul walks, and the scent of scorched fabric lingers in the stale air. Many who dare enter report a sudden drop in temperature and a feeling of being watched by something unseen. Would you dare to light a match and listen for her scream? Or will you flee before the shadows reach for you? Hit like if you felt the chill, comment, and subscribe before the next story arrives.